Welcome to the DaltonCast, episode number 3. It's Sunday, April 9th, the year 2023, and let me tell you, this has been an interesting week. As you know, today is Easter Sunday, and my wife's birthday also fell on Easter, so today is her birthday as well. So shout out to my wife. She is, she's the love of my life. She's my best friend. She's my biggest supporter, and the life that we live and the career I have could not be possible had she not been who she's been in my life. So Amber, I love you to death. Thank you for just being you. I'm a very blessed man. You've given me beautiful children. We live a beautiful life, and so thank you again, love. And so, given that today was her birthday, we actually celebrated her birthday yesterday at my in-laws' home. Because we wanted it to be to where we could celebrate her birthday, but we could still have the Easter Sunday events today at the house. And let me back up. So, given today is Easter, what we do each year is we assemble, Amber essentially assembles it's like 200 eggs, and each one of them has like candy in them, and then certain ones have certain pieces of a paper that gets sliced into different pieces, so that you have to kind of put this message together, which will tell you where your basket will be located. And then each egg, is for a specific child. So we end up taking all these 200 or so eggs and we spread them throughout the downstairs of our home. And so we're putting these things in like everywhere, like in the kitchen, the breakfast nook, the dining room, the living room, the hallway, like all these places we hide these eggs. And so the kids have to kind of go through the process of finding their specific eggs. And there's one egg that we call the golden egg. And this is like the holy grail of them all. And this year we put the golden egg inside of a fake it's like a toy chicken. And so it looks like the chicken is giving birth to to the egg. And my youngest, her name's Hannah. I swear this girl finds the golden egg every year, and she did it again today, and she found it very early into the egg search process. But so each of the kids, obviously they found all their eggs. They got a bunch of candy. They were able to take those cuts of paper and assemble them together, and some of them had riddles or things like that, but they basically would read it, and it would tell them basically where they would have to go find their basket, which then had like more candy, right? So that was fun. And so getting back into going to my in-laws, so yesterday morning we left like 11 a.m. We got to my in-laws at noon. And of course, my father-in-law, his name's Rick. He's always like he always cooks for us when we come over. So he was making like salmon, and he was making like hamburgers and everything. So we had this little assortment of food. Like there was asparagus, there was a bunch of stuff. And my mother-in-law had, of course, decorated her home to celebrate Amber's birthday, because Amber's 35 years old. She's stunning, just beautiful. And so, we started the visit where we just kind of hang out, we talk, have some snacks, and my wife's grandmother, who's her name is Rose, she was also at Rick's home. And Rose is one of my somebody I love very dearly. She's 82 years old. She had an impeccable career in California. Went from joining this credit union to, throughout her career, becoming the vice president of this gigantic credit union chain in San Diego, and actually throughout California. She lost her husband, Richard. I think it's been almost a year and a half or so ago. And so I love this woman dearly. She's a sweetheart. And so what was interesting about being at my in-laws is that Amber being Amber, she's like, we're going to do this my way. And so her way was we actually had the birthday cake before we had the meal. And the cake was delicious. Uh, Whatever that icing that my mother-in-law made was delicious. And then we had the like the hamburgers and the salmon and stuff like that. We had that after that. But then we got together and we played a card game. It's called Cards Against Humanity. If you are a person who might be offended by certain forms of humor, this is not your card game. Now, my sense of humor, whoever made this game, they know me too well. And so the way it works is uh, each each person gets 7 cards, and these cards have a pre-written response. But the thing is, you can use any of these against the scenario or the question that each person has to read. So you'll have one person, they have a black card, and it'll have a context or a setup, right? And they'll read it, and everybody else then has to give one of those cards to have that pre-written response to them. And the thing is that whoever has the funniest response, they win that round. And I probably for the sake of YouTube, and I don't want to get canceled. Some of the questions and some of these answers are off the chain. They are freaking hilarious. So if you have a sense of humor, you like to have a good time, go to the store or order it online. Cards Against Humanity. You will not be disappointed. And so aside from the like the personal life, we'll kind of get into more of the tech stuff, I guess. Yesterday morning, I finally was able to get and put to where I could put out another piece of content. As y'all know, in prior weeks, I have been very, very, very busy at work. As you know, I was brought in to help, or I was brought in from one of the companies that the owners have to another company they have, and I was brought in to kind of oversee this small development team. And of course, we've been making progress throughout the week. I think the hard days are behind us, which is really good. So this finally, since it's calmed down, I was able to actually put out some content. So yesterday I put out a video on Laravel's feature. It's called terminal middlewares. And what terminal middlewares are, think of it as a middleware that runs after a request has been served. So you think about it like somebody goes to the endpoint, they hit it, whatever happens, and then this little thing kind of comes in right at the very end, and you can kind of tap into certain things between the request and the response. And the video, be sure to check it out, because what I end up building is a feature I built on Friday at my work, where we take this terminal middleware and we use it to track each and every HTTP request that comes throughout our application. And the reason this came about is we have the telemedicine company has this workflow, this order process. In telemedicine, you actually end up having to ask a lot of questions. And we were unsure, because what was going on is that when the order would get submitted, we had certain things that was not populated in the database. And so we're we're sitting there going, well, we haven't changed anything in this specific spot. We haven't really touched that. So we're like, well, this doesn't really make any sense. And so maybe, given the problems we've had, of course, I'm a little frustrated, because we're still running to this problem. I want to get it behind us. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to build this. Essentially, it's an HTTP request and response tracker. And we're going to get the data, because I want to see when the person comes into their session as they go through this multi-step form, because the URL changes throughout the process. And so every time that they are passing data to go through all the steps, I want to see what that data looks like as it goes through the system. And that way we can kind of determine where exactly the problem is. And the beautiful thing about it is, given the data, you could actually replay the entire process, which technically we could actually resubmit the order without any action from the customer. So given that I had to build that feature, I was like, you know what, this is going to make a really good video on Saturday. And so I posted it, and it's gotten really it's gotten a lot of traction. It's a feature that probably most may not ever have to utilize or need to utilize, but if you find yourself in advanced complex situations, this one could actually come in and save the day. And of course, the use cases, people can do it for more than just like tracking, but they can do whatever the need is for their application. So now, this morning, I received essentially like a retweet or a shout out from Pavlis Korop. I believe that's how the last name's pronounced. Forgive me, Pavlis, if I said it wrong. But as you know, he is the man behind Laravel Daily. A very big, very intelligent, a very giving person within the Laravel community. And I'm very humbled because, he basically said, if you're not following me on Twitter, to follow me, and that that basically he finds value in my content, and it was such a humbling thing to come from him, and so I was tickled pink, and then it was like not even like an hour and a half later that Freek van der Herten, which is another very well known legendary developer in our community, he began following me. And of course, if you've been in Laravel long enough, you have likely used a package created by Freek van der Herten. His packages have been downloaded like 500 million times. And we're talking, that's a lot. And I actually had an opportunity where I actually sat next to Freek van der Herten at Laracon Chicago. I want to say this was the year 2018. And let me tell you, Freek van der Herten is one of the nicest people you'll probably ever encounter in this life that we live. And so to see him now follow me, I'm humbled. When you think about my growth over the past, we'll call it 2 months, just to kind of give you an idea, before I started recording this podcast, I went and got some statistics. And on Twitter, you can actually get your statistics based where they look past the prior 28 days. And so I have like 395 tweets, which is up 91, nearly 92%. I've had 735,000 impressions, which is up 244%. I've had 24,200 profile visits, which is up 95%. Almost 1,200 mentions on Twitter, which is up 518%. And then my followers count has grown to 2,192, which is up 749. And it's, and then like my YouTube is up to 385 subs. My blog is being read by people from 78 different countries. And we're just talking about the what's happened basically over the past 2 months. And it's hard to explain because most people don't put themselves out there in terms of content. But when you do, it's crazy how things come around and the followers and the people you come to know. And I'm forever humbled by this. Did I think this would become this? Not really. But I'm very happy that it is where it is. Because of this, I've also launched a Discord channel, which I launched last Saturday, which is like nearly, got like 160 people in it. And I'm able to do mentorship. We're able to have communication with people. And something I also want to point out is every Friday evening, I'm going to be hosting a hangout on my Discord channel. So anybody who is following me or my content and you want to hang out on Friday evenings, go to the link in my Linktree profile, which you can use to get to the Discord channel. But we'll be doing hangouts there every Friday. So it's a good time for us just to hang out, talk. We can screen share, whatever you want to do. And so I want to put that out there as well. And of course, my content on Twitter throughout the week has been really interesting. A lot of my tweets they don't get like we'll call it a lot of comments. Like I might get views and stuff like that, but not a lot of comments. And I have some tweets that got like hundreds of comments, and two of them, one of them surrounded the context of, let's say you have a user model. Are you the type of developer, and I don't want to say the type of developer, but is your style where you chain values into the model? So like you do, like we'll say like new user, then you have the forward arrow, call it email, you put that in, then you do it through chaining the data and then saving it. Or do you leverage like the methods like create, where you can pass an array? And it's really interesting to see the mixture of responses in terms of comments, because a lot of people say, well, I would pass the request. And the issue here is that the context is not about the request data. It's just, which way do you like to do your essentially your style? Do you chain it, or would you use the thing where you pass an array in? But it's interesting to see everybody's responses, because everybody does it differently, and then you see the dialogue between people having to explain their styles and why they do that. I also had another tweet where I talked about when you import classes into your namespace, there's a shorthand that you can do using curly brackets, to where you can basically in one line import multiple classes from one specific namespace, versus doing it individually on each line, like each class getting its own line. And it's all the thing is, there was so many responses. Like, I kid you not, I could go to my phone every 30 seconds and there would be something, whether it would be a like, a comment, or something. Like, this is how much engagement there is. And so I plan on doing more tweets like that, to where it's not necessarily me saying, this is like how I do it or how you should do it, or nothing to that effect. But I want to be more of, share with us how you go about doing it. In closing, anybody who follows my content, I want to challenge you to put out a piece of content at least one time each day. And that could be sharing a code snippet. It could be sharing like a problem that you solved that day, just something. Because I want each and every one of you to experience what I'm experiencing this very moment. Because when you put yourself out there, your life gets really, really interesting. So I'll close this out with that. Challenge yourself, put out content, because when you do, great things are going to come your way. So thank you all for listening to the podcast, and I will see you next Sunday.